Podlygamists, the Sisterwives Rewatch podcast.
Sisterwives is a reality show centered on a Mormon polygamous family originating in Lehi, Utah. Over 12 years and 16 seasons, TLC's longest-running reality show tells the story of Cody Brown and his 4 wives, Mary, Janelle, Christine, and Robyn, and their journey as spouses and parents living plural marriage in the public eye. As superfans, we have watched the family as they grow and overcome challenges, endure numerous moves, face loss, and celebrate all the moments in between. We love the Brown family, and fresh off some major changes following season 16, we decided to go back to the beginning and embark on the ultimate rewatch so that we could see the early days with fresh eyes and try to draw connections between the Brown family of 2010 and where we are today. I'm Samantha Kaiser.
And I'm Haley Graff.
And this is Podlygamists, Season 1, Episode 2.
Well, first of all, thanks everybody for coming back.
Yes, welcome.
We appreciate you so much, and we're really excited to get into this episode.
This is a fun episode after the first one.
When I sat down in my bathtub to watch this episode, I was all cozy, ready to sit in for the long haul, and I look at the time, and it's 21 minutes, and I thought, shoot, are we going to have content?
Right.
And then I realized, oh yes, we'll have content.
So much of this episode.
Every minute had something to say. I mean,
I even just right before we started filming, I just sat quick and rewatched it because it was so quick, just so it was really fresh. And yeah, it was jam-packed.
And I thought it might be good to actually read the little TLC description from off the top, just to have like, what does TLC think we need to pull from this, or like just a little summary. So, title is Courting a Fourth Wife. Not the slickest of titles, but it aired on October 3rd in 2010. And in this episode, Cody heads south to court his potential fourth wife, Robyn. Meanwhile, back at home, the wives express their true feelings about their possible new sister wife as they make preparations for Christine's new baby. I think that sums it up. This is a very like Robyn and Cody heavy episode.
It was. Like we see some things of the wives, it's mostly them kind of reacting to Robyn and Cody, which I suppose.
And we start out with the wives. It does start out just on the wives driving to the store to kind of like, I guess, really awkwardly browse this baby store for their 13th kid, as if they need more babies. I'm like, I'm sure you have so much baby.
Have hand-me-downs?
Baby deserves new things too. It was just funny. I'm like, wow, we're still shopping for like tutus and socks or whatever.
I thought it was really cute that they all seemed very excited, even though this is baby number 13. So it's not like they haven't done this 12 other times, but they're still so just excited for the new one. So yes, that's something nice, I think, with their family, is that they do make all the kids feel special.
They celebrate hard. Like all the they don't gloss over any birthdays. It's always like they do celebrate a lot of even non-birthday moments in the show, throughout the show, which I think is really cool and like a way to shine a light on everybody in such a big family. Mm-hmm.
And I liked getting to see the 3 wives together. I kind of, sort of for the first time of the series, that it's just them without Cody or any of the kids, and getting to see kind of their dynamic with each other. And to me, it kind of struck me as like a mom and then like her sisters or friends going out with her shopping for the baby. Like that was the sort of vibe I got from it, which I think is what they're going for in their relationship anyway.
Yeah, it was sweet. We kind of cut back and forth between their little shopping trip and like some confessional, I guess what you'd call on the couch, like the show does interviews, I'm sure after the fact of the taping, and they kind of ask, the producers are asking them questions about different moments, and they kind of cut to the family joking about how they've worked through all their quirks. Like they don't have any, like,
I had to laugh a little bit at that.
Right.
I was like, oh, they were so much younger then.
So it's a simple time that this was.
It was a simpler time.
We do then we kind of get like a walk through the family tree. Mary and Mariah, Janelle and all of her 6 kids, and then Christine and her 5 and a half kids.
5.5.
Um, and just kind of, get a good visual of the current family tree as it stands, which is so much smaller than it is today, which is funny. But
And I really notice it, honestly, just from you have a hard time keeping it, and probably because now like the kids are grown and so they're out of the house, so it's maybe a little harder to keep track of all of them and where they're at. But even just this smaller number of it being almost 13 kids is so much more manageable in my head.
even though they're all little, like the oldest is whatever 16.
Right.
But yeah, it's just kind of a nice reminder of like those times. And actually, I found it interesting. We'll have to post this somewhere, but the original family tree from when the show aired, like a literal, like TLC created like a family tree of all the that has like everybody's like elementary school photos or whatever on it from
That's adorable.
very funny and like nostalgic to see because like those teenagers are now adults with kids and stuff like that. And then I guess following that with cutting back and forth to those confessionals, we see Christine for the first time in this episode expressing some uncertainty. Would you say about getting
I
in?
think that's putting it lightly, yeah.
Yeah, about taking on a fourth wife and like kind of disrupting like their family dynamic.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, they talk about just even meeting Robyn, that like Christine herself says Mary has always been open to more wives, which again I found interesting because Mary's obviously expressed that she's feels jealousy and everything, and that she has felt jealousy with Janelle and Christine as it is, but then she's already open to adding another wife, where Christina's like, we don't need this, we're fine.
Mm-hmm. And funny because Mary's the one who's welcomed she was the first one, so she had to like take on an additional one, which like is interesting. I know there's a lot of like virtues that they feel like polygamy kind of like primes you for, like I don't want to say like godly virtues, but like the virtue of like lack of jealousy and and not being competitive and all those kind of things is like what's perpetuated supposedly with polygamy, and it's just interesting. I wonder if Mary, my armchair theories is not, I don't know, but I wonder if she has a hard time with it, so she's trying to like overcome it by taking on more of the relationships
I
and
think that's
wives.
probably, I mean, we obviously won't know for sure, but I think that's a probably pretty astute guess at the very least, that's
Like
probably
almost like immersion therapy.
yeah,
Like
I mean, like the more I do it, the better I'll get at it, and I'll just overcome it.
yes, for sure.
I'm gonna
Just a
hang out with
theory.
a bunch of snakes because I hate them, and eventually I'll just be fine.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It doesn't. I wouldn't say it pans out that way per se, but I just wonder because if you are someone who admittedly struggles with jealousy, it's like why would you take this on?
Well,
But
I literally wrote in my notes too, because we see, like, we've got the story then of how Cody meets Robyn, and he meets Robyn while out with Mary at a friend's.
cousins.
Robyn is at the friend's house there too. And that Mary literally, so Mary strikes up a conversation with Robyn's really hitting it off with her. They're getting along. So then she tells Cody to ask Robyn to dance. And I wrote down, I was like, girl, are you trying to hurt your heart?
I know. I wrote that down too. I was like, how? I wrote down how effing weird because they say a thing later that's like, well, because in polygamy we're comfortable with multiple wives, we're not comfortable with girlfriends. But at the same time, you're like, for lack of a better term, kind of pimping out Cody, like, hey, go ask her, like they're swingers or
While
something.
I watch.
While I'm here in this room watching, and they're admittedly uncomfortable when he's like being physically like affectionate with other wives in front of them. Like they talk about that like a number of times throughout the show, and like, and yet you're like, see, she's cute. Like you wanna go, and it's just like what? How?
That was one thing. I mean, it just made no sense. It's not like a out of sight, out of mind thing. It's literally right in front. I'm causing this. I'm gonna watch.
Yeah, weird.
Oh,
It's
he
almost like
dances with this really cute younger woman.
yes. Um, but the thing is, her and Robyn do go on to have a very close relationship. So it's kind of like maybe she was genuinely like, I love this person and I would love for them to be part of the family. Like Cody, like go see if it. What do you think, Cody? Like, and as much as that feels, just gives me such swingers vibes. I know that it's not what's happening here, but like it just is so like they're kind of out like looking for another person to bring in. Like it's just so strange. But she does connect with Robyn a lot and her kids. She talks about how she loves her kids. Like to this day, that's true. She loves Robyn and her. She's so close with her
Very close
little.
with them.
So I'm like, we see that connection early on, as bizarre as it looks to you and I.
It's, I don't know. I mean, because I wrote down too, I was like, I totally understand her connecting with Robyn and being like, I want this person, to be like my family and to love my children and to be, but I'm like, but does that also mean you have to share a guy though? I'm like, because I have, like, I think of my oldest friend that I've known since I was 4, and our family, I mean, we're basically like family, but it's not like we're sharing a romantic partner. Like, it's
Like
just
you can
not a
have
thing.
all those things without sharing a marriage,
Exactly.
but I don't know. But it's also like they again, it's like a virtue to be in this a plural marriage. So
Mm-hmm.
like, I guess it's kind of like you could look at it in a way as a win-win. I guess because you're achieving that and you're taking on these like friendships that are supposed to be so deep and like intimate. But yeah, it was an interesting little like scene to visualize. Like also, you're at it was they said it was at like their cousin's house or a cousin's house. You're dancing. You're just dancing around the house. What kind of party is this where there's 40-year-old people just dancing?
But just turned on some music and we're like, do it. No one else is, just them.
I mean, we know Cody loves to dance. We'll
We
come to
do
see
learn that.
it. But I don't know. It was a weird turn of it was a weird I had forgotten that, I guess, that whole origin of that
I
relationship.
remembered that Mary had been part of them getting together or meeting. I remembered that she'd like introduced them, but I didn't remember the exact details of it. So then, really, though, for her to just be like taking a seat, just watching them dance or whatever, it was a different level than I
Yeah,
remembered.
maybe she used herself. Maybe she didn't watch. Maybe she was like, "Have fun," and
And
was
then
like,
she wanders off.
"Let me know how that goes."
Hey,
I don't
I'll
know.
talk later. Good luck, slugger.
But I mean, clearly they hit it off like in a pretty serious way. She lives 5 hours and like 300 some odd miles away, and
Hmm.
they are courting and have been for 4 whole months, which is apparently he says
Ages.
a long time. Um, but yeah, they're very infatuated. Clearly, infatuated seems like it's like not recognizing like the depth of the relationship. I understand they've been married now for a long time, but they're very in a honeymoon lovey bubble at this time.
Very much so.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's obvious to anyone, I think, who sees them. And that probably, I mean, I can't imagine that being fun to watch as one of the wives. Because it's very clear, even when he talks about her, he lights up. He's fallen pretty hard. And when we meet Robyn and talk to Robyn, we see the same. Like, she feels the same way, too.
Very
That
much
I
so.
can't imagine watching my husband act that way about somebody else.
And like co-signing on it too. Yeah.
Encouraging it. This is
Uh-huh.
great. Yeah.
um, I guess the next scene we kind of cut to is a real chaotic moment with Robyn and her kids at the van. At the van. Am I on the timeline with this? All three end up crying.
I know.
Handling it, I will say, handling it beautifully.
Oh, she
Especially
did. I was impressed for her being by herself and in front of
in
the
front of the
camera.
camera crew, where you think you'd be like a little like, like
Stop it.
all three of my kids are crying. Like
I'm a good mom, I swear.
she did great. She wasn't even. She was like, give the old 1, 2, 3 privileges are gone. Like get in the car.
Mom is a
Like,
cucumber.
and she said no to the bike a number of times. I was
Right.
like, wow, I was impressed. And she just kind of like, meh.
And that honestly, that kind of endeared me into her too. Like, first impressions of Robyn, I like, you can see why Cody likes her. You can see why Mary connected with her. She just seems super likable right away. She seems kind of chill. She seems very just sweet and almost sort of like she kind of goes with the flow, sort of. I mean, because she wasn't freaking out about the kids. Like,
as Brianna's like running into the street, I was like,
yeah, and Dayton even too. I was like, oh my god, are they like, is there a car coming? But she's just very calm about it, and
yeah,
you know,
yeah, it was impressive. And she's just but she's also like very loving at the same time. Like she's not like mean, angry, impatient. She's like, 1, 2, 3, like, nope, get in the car. Like, oh, you guys are monsters, but like not like
not
flipping
in a
out.
rude way. Yeah,
She's just like, huh. And this one little lady just managing all this. But she is, I gotta say, she's adorable. I'm like, young Robyn. I forgot, like, she's a beautiful woman now, but like, I'm just like, you're just the cute as a button. I can
yeah.
see it. I'm sure Cody was like
It's
in
so
love.
fitting.
You're just like such a delight.
Right? I mean, well, because like her hair is so pretty. Like she's got this like
Yeah.
long curly hair, and I'm like, she's
Yeah.
so cute. Like, and I mean,
Yeah.
like the wives do talk about it too. They're like, well, so I wrote this down. I found this like a little antiquated when they said it, where they're like, I'm glad he's getting a trophy wife, and I was kind of like, ew, like,
It was a joke, but it was a cringy joke. It
yeah,
was like
like.
the three, like, I'm gonna say older wives because they are older, sitting around like, ah, she is cute. Like, good job,
Young
Cody.
girl.
Cute one. It's just like sad.
Yeah, it felt very not like they would make that kind of joke today. Like
Yeah.
I think they moved past that. It just felt it felt antiquated. Like it didn't seem like modern day them. Like
It didn't feel like modern day them, and it just felt really weird and forced. But like also like maybe that was their attempt, or not. Maybe it was their attempt at just trying to like embrace it and be complimentary to Robyn, and and also like like what's that, like kind of neg themselves a little bit in the process of like, we're not the trophy wives, we know that, like
well,
whatever.
it kind of broke my heart a little bit because Mary's like, well, I'm cute, and I'm like, you're all cute, okay? Don't anybody sell yourself short, okay? Like.
Yeah,
You
it was
know,
just a little
Robyn's
cringe.
younger, and yeah, she's super cute, but it doesn't mean that you guys aren't. It doesn't mean that you guys don't have awesome things about you. Like, it doesn't take away anything from you.
For sure. Yeah, it was like a little hard to.
Yeah, I was just kind of like a little sad watching that. Like, because they were laughing about it, but I still was like, aw.
Yeah.
Don't.
Sure. I mean, we kind of cut to like the rearranging of Christine's room 100 times, where we're moving the armoire because they're out of room for baby Truly, so in another room, so she's gonna stay in there, so they have to rearrange her room to suit her
It
new
was just
baby.
funny watching them, like, listen to her as she directs them around.
Like clearly, like she can't do it herself right now, so like you're gonna have to just do it. But you're just like,
No,
move
over
it across
there.
that way.
Oh,
Move
maybe
it
it does
over.
look better over there. You're like, sweetie, I'm gonna need you to decide this before we move it.
Yeah, I mean, there's just like another little thing of like our Christine's quirks, just like kind of scattered, kind of funny, just herself. But they kind of managed to like slide in some strange like side conversation about how like, and now our dynamic is gonna change, like she says to Janelle, and then about how they've worked out this great dynamic as the three sister wives, and like now it's all gonna change, and Janelle's just kind of like, yeah, like that dreaded like awkward like you're
You want
trying
to
to
get into it?
get someone to like side with you, and they're just like, mm-hmm, yeah, like
Well,
not
no, jump
disagree, but
in. Support me here.
they're not gonna give you any like juice to go off of. It's just like, mm-hmm.
I think she's a little more diplomatic.
Diplomatic is a good word, and this is the early days too, because I do think she'll just say whatever the heck she feels later on, but at the same time, she's also like low drama.
Yeah.
Like she's not here for the drama. She's here for like practical solutions. She'll let you know if she thinks something's stupid, but like
But she's
it's not
not
gonna
going to
make it
jump
big.
in and make something up that if
Very
it
gentle.
doesn't need to be.
Yeah.
Which again, that's a good trait of Janelle's. We like that, but
I do. I do like it about her. Although I felt for Christine that she just needed someone to be like, yeah, me too.
right.
know?
I mean, because we see how vulnerable Christine is feeling, that she says that she felt out of the loop from the start of Cody seeing Robyn, and that she was like, I felt like I lost my best friend, and talks about how difficult it was. I mean, Cody crying about it with her in a room, and there's kind of like a lot there.
There's a lot there, if we're gonna like kind of cut over that exchange, I guess it's like They talk about how once he started seeing Robyn, he had some real. He says to the in the confessional, I was going through some really hard times, and like I was in Christine's room and I was crying, and I was just so upset or whatever. And he said, "What's wrong with me?" And he said, Christine looked at him and said, "You're heartsick, and the only answer is marriage." And I was just like, Christine, why'd you say that? Like,
I was like, I wrote down, I'm like, I want to know what you thought about that, because that was a big
yeah.
statement.
Well, first of all, to the objective outside person who's not a polygamist, that sounds insane. Like, the answer is marriage. Like, very infrequently is the answer marriage. I like feel for her of like she had to address his like he was crying to her about Robyn. Like I was just like, ouch.
You know. And to
And
Christine, of all of his wives, though, I think is the most sensitive. If he was going to
true.
cry to one of them about Robyn, it should have been Janelle.
Or Mary, I don't know.
Mary
Mary
kind of seems like she's struggling with it, though, because when he goes to leave to see Robyn, I mean, Mary's crying.
That's true. That's true. I guess I don't know. It's just strange. It feels and we you and I have been talking to a couple of friends about this who are new to the show altogether. They have no background. They've seen 2 episodes and it's these 2 episodes. And their whole thing is like Kody is not considerate or loving of his family. And like I don't think that's the case. I want to like say that to be clear. I don't think that's the case. But he just seems quite emotionally immature. It's just hard to imagine it's hard to imagine going to your wife about the how much you're in love with
Another woman.
your girlfriend. Like it's just like I don't know. I know that they know this life and they know they're used to this so much more than we are, but it just seemed it seemed insensitive.
Again, too, like I mean, him being maybe not as emotionally mature about this or whatever, like that's not like it doesn't mean that's acceptable or like I'm just excusing his disregard if he is disregarding any of their feelings. I don't know that that's necessarily his intention, but it could definitely come across like that, especially to someone new watching the show. But I just think it like I can understand where like our friends talking about it and they're like, we can't believe Kody, like being kind of very angry with Kody for this. I mean, I do get it. We have the benefit of hindsight of seeing years of this family to know that it's not necessarily coming from a place of just wanting to cause pain to other people, but it is kind of a hard thing to stomach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what it and we have the benefit of hindsight too, but
Mm.
the other interesting like Kody like line that I caught was he's like, talking to the camera about how Robyn doesn't want to hurt anybody in the family. She doesn't want to hurt the wives coming in and which is very thoughtful and like sensitive of her. And I'm sure she understands that as someone who was married at one point that like this would be a difficult thing to deal with. And he just kind of goes, "There's no way around that." It's just like,
Which sort of seems kind of callous to say.
yeah, I mean, probably realistically that's true, but in theory, everyone's on board with this, and everyone like welcomes this person, and like I'm sure they know other polygamists. They know what's normal and what's not normal, obviously better than we do. I don't know anybody who is polygamist in real life, and they are really the only famous of like we might meet some people through this show, but this is my connection to this world.
Right.
It seems crazy, but maybe they're like, we gotta barrel through it and then it gets better. And that's kind of the sentiment Janelle has later
Yep.
too. She's like, we know the end result is gonna be great and it's gonna be this big awesome family. But we know the end goal. It's just getting through that is gonna be like
Right.
we're gonna have to tear through it. Like just kinda like Kody. And so to a point that's like wise, I guess, that he's being realistic. Like that is the only way to achieve this is to hurt some feelings and apologize later. But it's just hard to grasp as an outside person, as a monogamist.
And I mean, I think I'm going to use Janelle's mergers and acquisitions analogy. Like, think about, I mean, we won't say where we work or anything, but like the company we work for went through a merger a few years ago, and it was very, very tough. Like, it's better now that things have smoothed out, but like that whole transition period is very rough. And I think that's true of it's true of relationships. It's true of, companies, whatever, but any kind of transition period where things are coming together in a different way than they were before, it's going to be weird. Like, it's going to be an adjustment for
That's true.
everybody.
That's a great callback because that is so true. I mean, it's a messy process. There's redundancies you have to like kind of trim down.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about like in the corporate world now that we dealt with,
Lovely
and it's
corporate
like,
world, but
I mean, it's not a bad analogy though to what they're talking about. Like, to cram into this new mold, they're gonna break off some pieces and like rearrange some like they can't go in as they are to this the mold of like the marriage. It's like they gotta like bend and break a little bit to like do that, and like that sounds scary and painful, but like it is. And truthfully, they do make it work. Like they make it work for a long time. So it's like they're kind of successful in that.
yeah,
I
I mean,
mean,
like, there are things that bringing Robyn and the family, I mean, and we'll obviously see it as time goes on, that there are really a lot of positive things with Robyn being in the family and what she adds to the mix. And that's awesome. That's great. But yeah, it does suck at the moment. And I think it probably could have been done better, especially with Christine. And because she's pregnant, already feeling like she wants her husband around while she's pregnant. And then, I mean, she said the line, like, it feels like you're replacing your family with Robyn and her family. And that made me very sad because I don't think that's his intention, but I can completely see how she would feel that way.
as he's packing up his bags and leaving for a day or whatever, like to go visit, and I can tell he tries to incorporate the family in these visits,
which is nice. I mean, like, he does, and I think that's smart and
for
considerate.
sure.
But
I think that's a wise choice as opposed to maybe it's an accountability thing for their religion too. I can imagine that being part of it, just knowing how like any 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 kind of sleepover without a supervision might be perceived as like not kosher.
yeah.
So it might be for practical reasons too. But they're in the car, Robyn's in the car with her kids, and they're kind of like, "Mom, which mom is coming?" They have like their little song they sing to her, like, "Mom, which mom is coming?" And she's like, "Which mom?" She's like, "What?" And she goes, "Oh, which mom is Cody bringing with him?" Yeah. And she's like, "Oh, they're not," but they're used to having a mom accompany him. And this time he happens to be bringing two of the older girls, Maddie and Mariah, I believe, are babysitting. Okay, Aspen are babysitting Robyn's three kids while they go on a date,
They seem
and
like they get along already really well, which was cute.
I'm really comfortable with them. They're tickling the kids right away, and like they're very excited to see them. Yeah, like they've spent some time together. It seems like,
Yeah,
for sure.
so that's nice. So it wasn't like weird to leave them with two older girls that they wouldn't know or feel comfortable with. Like, they seem like they're already good with each other.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I could tell like the car was a bonding thing for them. I could tell it's like him kind of killing two birds with one stone of like I'm spending time with my two of my older girls, and also like they're getting to know Robyn and the kids. Um, but did you catch when he shows up at Robyn's house? So he's packed up. He's gone on the road trip with Maddie, and Aspen, and he's bringing them along to babysit. And he walks in the door, and of Robyn's like condo, it looks like. That he walks in and like he's like hi, and she's like all bashful and like hi, and they're going in for a hug, and you see where Maddie and Aspen are coming in, and they just hard right turn like to the affection.
Nope, we're not doing anything.
They're like, because they're just going in for a hug, and I'm sure for them it's like, ew, dad, no, like just like if they're kissing their own mom half the time. I mean,
They probably don't.
Whatever.
That, yeah.
I'm sure it's a weird thing, and they're just like hard right turn away from like.
And because I mean, he says later, like, I haven't held hands with anyone that I'm not married to, So I mean, I suppose even a hug for them means maybe more than what we assign to it. I don't know, but
it's a more intimate than like.
then I mean, we would just like hug,
hug.
and it wouldn't be a huge deal. It'd be way more casual than maybe what they do. I don't know.
Yeah, I would imagine it's like more elevated than it would be for us, but yeah, man, they're just like a couple teenagers on that date. Like the way he talks about how it's so different, how he's never been romantic before, and now the bug has bitten him, and he's in love, and he's so romantic with Robyn, and she's changed him. Like he's just talking like a teen, just like
Like
such a teen.
first love, honestly. Like that was like,
Mm-hmm.
and this is not to say that he doesn't have love and affection for his other wives, but I mean, no one's going to convince me otherwise, and I'm sure other people have this opinion too. I feel like Robyn's like his one true love, though. And that's going to be like, that's a can of worms, and it will be for a long time. But I mean, seeing them, and I know we're seeing them at the beginning versus seeing Mary and Janelle and Christine and him at the beginning, so it maybe looked more similar to that, but we also do see them years from now, and I don't know, like, I think, I don't know,
It's
if he had met
I don't
Robyn
want
first, would he be a polygamist? I don't know.
to know. But would Robyn marry him
And
if he
again, I mean,
wasn't so
there's a
happy?
lot of what ifs, and like, we'll never
Yeah.
know, but
But it's hard. I don't want to say that. I want to believe he's got a unique, loving relationship with each of his wives, and I think that is true. I think he has a unique,
I
loving
agree.
relationship.
I mean, I think that he's got love for each of them. It's
Right.
not to diminish that at all.
It's like a different romantic love that we are seeing. But then again, you got to look at it like he's. I got to say at least mid-30s, conservatively, in his mid-30s, right? Um, Mid to late 30s, and he's been married. His shortest second last marriage is 14 years or something.
Mm.
So it is almost like new again. Like maybe he was that way in the early days of like his relationship with Mary and those kind of things, but like it almost is a new at first love again because it's been so long since
Mm-hmm.
it's happened. And it's probably for an older I
Making
should
you
not
feel like a puppy love again, like that teenage love again, you know.
yeah, with how many years of marriage between the three, like 50 some
I mean,
years
I
of
think it's
marriage.
almost 20 for Mary, like, at this point, that,
Yeah.
you know,
But if you're adding up all the years of marriage between each one,
yeah. I
it's
mean,
a
that's a
lot of
lot of.
years and many kids. And he's like a fling with this woman, almost a committed fling. It's not the
Committed.
same thing, but you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Um, did you have any thoughts on their dates or their demeanor together or
The thing is, like, seeing them on their date together, I sat there, like, I was smiling watching it, because I mean, it's really just sweet to see two people who just are so in love with each other and so enamored, and just in that, like, happy, giddy play. Like, it's sweet. Like, it tugs at your heartstrings. And so I was very much like grinning, just like happy for them. But then at the same time, like, when it's juxtaposed with like the three wives at home, and like, so it was kind of like a bittersweet. I'm like, I'm so happy like these two found each other. They look so happy, and I feel like they do belong together. But then I'm also like, but there are three people who are hurt here. Like, it's hard. Not to say that it won't get better, but again, like, it was still just a very like at odds kind of scene, you know.
what it is? You know, I was thinking I'm really happy for Robyn. Like I'm just like she's so happy. She feels so secure. She's so excited when she talks about how excited she is and how it does her heart good to see her kids embraced by Cody's family and by Cody. And she's like, clearly it's something she's wanted. Sorry, my dogs are like deciding to right now.
Buddy.
Shush. Um, it's so sweet, and I'm so happy for her. And she clearly wants this family so badly for her kids.
Mm.
And so, and knowing that like the marriage she came from wasn't healthy, and she even says like I've been trying to create a safe place for my kids, raise my kids. Like this looks like a sweet deal for Robyn.
Yeah.
Talks about the helping hands with her kids and like having that around them. Like she clearly longs for that so much, and it's like I can't blame her. That probably looks beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm so happy for her excitement and like him pulling out that. It's like, well, this very casual. Well, I guess I should give you a ring or
I'm
something.
like,
Like
oh, you
just
want
this.
to do that?
He's like, awesome, and it's a little string ring that Maddie made.
Right.
It was sweet, and she's so excited, but it was just so casual. Like, yeah, so I guess we should do that, huh? And
Right.
she's like, so I guess they're engaged. Like Cody and
Very
Robyn are.
chill. Like, well, because he was like, and she could pick anyone to marry, and she's like, and I picked him. Like, It's like,
He was like
okay,
an
there,
ace.
that was a real fast thing there, but it was cute and sweet for them, and I think it worked.
Yeah, I mean, and he's like, gosh, I'm so happy she picked me or whatever. It's like,
Well, she says too that she's like 2 years ago, and we don't. I don't think she says how long ago she got divorced. I don't know if we know.
I think it's a while. I think it's like seasons before we get into like her real background and everything like that. I know there's some debt issues she carries for a minute there that we face, and then there's things with the kids and such. But yeah, I don't remember if we really get into that until those
And
plot points
I mean,
arise.
she doesn't talk about it a ton, which I mean, that's her prerogative, whatever. How much of that you want to share, but like her saying, that she wrote a list of qualities of what she wanted 2 years ago in a new partner, and she's like, and that's Cody. Cody is this list that I wrote, and so I mean, you can't help but like feel happy for her because I mean, she's been a single mom for how long, and she's probably really lonely just for like adult help and adult
Yeah,
companionship.
for sure.
That of course this
For
family would be
sure.
appealing. Like, of course the whole situation would be appealing to have someone always there to watch your kids, and like you don't have to take all of that on yourself. Like,
Mhm.
you get it why she would want this.
For sure. So, I mean, that's kind of how we close, right? With the engagement and like a cute little like snuggle between Cody and Robyn. Yeah, I mean, overall, we just kind of got to see the origin of that, which I really forgot all those details.
Right.
And you can't help but feel a little bit of foreshadowing um, with where we are now, but also it reminds you of how sweet that was and why they have the bond they have.
Right.
You know, yeah. And if we're gonna start maybe monitoring the Cody hair situation, it was very fluffy today. I noticed he
Very fluffy.
had like a real like almost like he had curlers in it, kind of like
And then
bubbling
like
around his
brushed it out like
like oh it was a round brush
mm-hmm.
and
And
what's
blow
it called
dryer.
blow dryer.
Mm-hmm.
I bet
Yep.
that's true. So, there's something to keep tabs on because it does evolve over the
His
seasons
hair, I mean, the wives will agree, it's as much of a character as the rest of them. So.
and they love it
And they
and they
love his
are
hair. That's like something that's really kind of a draw, I think, for all of them that they find attractive is his hair. So,
which is so funny to me because it's just so like I mean, if he loves it, that's great. If they love it, even better. It's just not for me. I've never been one who loves long hair on a man. I guess so. That's not it's not personal, Cody, but
I will
like
say I like personally when he pulls it back in a ponytail more. I think that suits his like facial structure more. Just personal but again, who cares what I think about it? Like,
later years when it gets a little more texture going in it, it's not. I kind of prefer that, but this very smooth, very like blowout look he's got going today just kind of made me smile and laugh a little bit. And one other funny. Sorry, Cody, we're ragging on you today, but
it's in a
his
good natured way.
his little bitty sports car that he drives. I'm like,
It's
you have 12,
tiny.
13 kids. Well, who is this car for? But you see him loading up the girls in the back to go drive up to see Robyn, and it's like this is like a
And where
pod.
they
This is like
call
a
like what they're calling shotgun and stuff, and I was like, yeah, I would want shotgun. I wouldn't want to sit in the back for 5 hours.
especially the trunk. It's like enclosed behind those seats. I'm sure each mom, and you kind of see them in the background. Each mom has a huge car, so they probably don't need him to have a huge car.
Right.
But it's just such a little sporty, like
It's so like knowing
midlife
watching
car.
Cody
Like,
though, it's exactly what you would expect him to drive.
I guess just then the closing remarks. Like and follow us on the socials. Or we have Podlygamist Pod on Instagram, podlygamistpod@gmail.com. And we spell that
Yep.
every time. Podlym. Oh God,
Start
no,
over.
I have to write it. Pod.
It's a hard word, we get it, but
Okay, but it's important and we're really proud of it. So it's PODLYGAMISTS pod, POD @gmail.com. It's also our Instagram handle. And our YouTube channel is
Podlygamists Pod.
Podlygamists. But you can follow along with us and watch on the TLC app for free. Every episode of every season of Sisterwives is there, which is amazing. Thanks, TLC.
I know.
Free advertisement for you, because that's the content equity we need in this world.
Right?
Descriptions.
Making life better for us, TLC.
Scout stop. Okay. Yeah, I think that was good.
All right, so that's about it for today, but we will be back again next week then, right?
See, when we'll I guess announce a. Do you see my dogs fighting there? We'll announce what our kind of regular release dates once we have that kind of established.
Yeah,
as well.
We're figuring it out, so we'll announce it though.
Cool.
All right.
We can probably.
Bye-bye.